And what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the We Are Family Pittsburgh Sports Podcast. 40? Is it 40? I think it's 40.
Like
I think
so.
this is episode 40. So that's a big moment in our podcast history. Episode 40. We love the round numbers. So
50 will be bigger. 50 is a big.
yeah, it will be, but 40. We love the round.
40's
Just saying the round numbers.
right.
No, 40 is around the retirement age, but we're not retired.
40
so
is almost what Aaron Rodgers is.
Yeah.
And we're very excited.
He is. What are you talking about? He's 41. He's gonna be 42.
I said it's around what his age is. I know. Okay. All right. Anyway, we got a lot going
Next
on today
episode.
in this episode, but before we get into everything, make sure you like this video, subscribe so you can get notified when we put out some content. We got episodes coming out weekly now, and we got some good takes and everything. In this episode, we're not quite sure if our takes will be good or not. We feel like they're going to be good because we're going to talk about some very early preseason NFL predictions, playoff wise, where teams could finish, all of that. And we're also going to get into the trade deadline. Again, that is about a week away now. It's crazy. We're going to have a trade deadline special next week starting at 4. I'm going to be live stream. It's going to be a live stream. I'm going to be hosting it to start because these two are going to be away, actually, doing some fun stuff. But I'll start off, and then they'll join in, and we'll get some other people, perhaps, potentially.
I'll be locked in. I'll be locked in, though.
I'm always locked in the trade deadline. Trade deadline's my favorite time of baseball.
Trade deadline's a great
100%.
time. It's the best deadline in sports is the MLB trade deadline. Ben Cherington loves trade deadlines. This year he's very excited. But anyway, so that's what's going to be going on next week. The Pirates should be active one way or another. So make sure you stay tuned throughout the duration. And we'll probably stay. If these two don't, I'll probably stay a little bit after just to give some thoughts, just post deadline or whatever, just a little bit right immediately after or something. But so that's what's going on next week.
We plan on starting at 4:00 next week. There will be probably no episode next week. That'll be our content because we're both going to be away. So, and next week is crazy for me. So, that is your content for next week. Next Thursday,
Right.
4:00 Eastern. In case you're watching on the West. No, I'm just kidding. But
We love our West Coast viewers.
You do.
We love all our viewers. We have a very wide demographic of viewers, so they will all be sure to be tuned in here. But, gentlemen, let's get it going here. Our first discussion about the NFL in a long time, other than TJ Watt, which was kind of a Steelers-centric. This is going to be the first purely NFL, league-wide discussion in a while we've done this podcast. But, I mean, it's been the off-season, right? And there hasn't been any free agency signings, everything. It's kind of been... We were talking about this, kind of a dead period, especially for the NFL, but for really all sports this past week when it was the end of the All-Star break, and then you're watching, there's summer leagues even coming. There's just nothing actually going on. And but now the Steelers reported to training camp today. We saw Aaron Rodgers, we saw Pat Freiermuth, we saw Jalen Ramsey, all these guys going down the hill, greeted by Steeler fans, Steeler Nation. And we're going to get into...
It's officially underway.
Next week is the Hall of Fame game. So we're right there now. We are very close to the start of the pro football season. So how do we want to do this? Do we want to start with just go through each league? So we'll start with probably the AFC. What do you guys think is going to happen? Obviously, some teams improved, like New England, I think we could all say really improved a lot in the offseason. I think the AFC West improved a lot. I think the Raiders really did a lot. But the question is, to what degree do these teams improve? And who kind of is going to take a step back is another question. And also, who could be the team that was last year's Broncos and Commanders? Who could even take that step, if there is any team? We're not quite sure, obviously, but we're here to predict that. So who wants to go first, given some of their AFC playoff predictions and whatnot?
It's up to you, Peyton.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll get my paper out. So we're starting with the AFC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the NFC, I think we can all agree, is going to be a little more treacherous.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start off with 3 teams I have barely missing the playoffs from the AFC. First, I think the Raiders. I think they start off on a slow start, but I think they get their groove going in the second half of the year, but I think it'll be a little too late. But I think they'll be competitive throughout the year. I have Broncos barely missing, and the only reason is I feel like Bo Nix is going to have a sophomore slump. I think the defense might just slightly regress. They'll be hovering around the 500 mark. I think they win about 8 or 9 games and barely miss it. And then that last team, I don't know if you guys will be mad at me or not. I have the Steelers barely missing. And the only reason, I like the moves. I think making a lot of moves this offseason was great. It's definitely a different pace of what Steeler football has become. But I think it's more of a dream team scenario. And I just have some questions still about the offensive line and some parts of the defense. So I have them barely missing. I still think they'll be competing for the playoffs, of course. But I think there's a lot of AFC teams that really are going to do well to get a playoff spot. So for the number 1 seed, I have the Ravens as the winners of the AFC North and the best team in the AFC. I think that offense is going to gel well once again. And I think the defense improves more. I think they have the whole Kyle Hamilton situation figured out, how to utilize him. And I think with a full year of that, along with much of the other parts of the defense playing at a high level, I think they'll be the 1 seed. To the 2nd seed, I have the Chiefs. They're going to win the AFC West, of course. I mean, I feel like it's a no-brainer. I know that they didn't have a good Super Bowl, but they win games. I assume they're going to win games this year as well. For the 3rd seed, I actually have the Texans. I think they take a big step up, potentially. I mean, winning 2 more games. I think they'll win about 12 games. 2 more games doesn't seem like that much. But I feel like they're going to be a much better football team. I think that defense is really going to shine under DeMeco Ryans, and I think C.J. Stroud has a nice year. The 4th seed, I have the Bills winning the AFC East. I think they're going to be pretty good. I just think they take a slight step back. I don't know. I just, questions about the defense. They have a young defense. But I still think they're going to win their division pretty easily compared to the rest of the guys. So for the wildcard teams, I think the Chargers hold the first wildcard spot at relative ease. I think, obviously, Harbaugh is a very good coach. They added to their offense, and I think that they're really doubling down on the running game to make Herbert's life a lot easier, and I think that's going to really work out in their favor. The 6th seed, I actually have the Bengals. I know that craziness is going on, and who knows what's going to happen with Hendrickson. And there's a lot going on, but it's so hard to count out Joe Burrow in that offense to where I feel like Hendrickson might be playing with a chip on his shoulder, like playing angry. I think that actually might help them out in that regard. In 7th seed, this is the first and only team I have as the big risers, like the Commanders and Broncos last year. I have the Patriots stealing a 7th seed. I feel like Drake May takes that next step forward. I think Mike Vrabel, having just an accomplished head coach, is really going to help them out. And I think they're a young team that's going to work well together. And I thought Drake May was the best quarterback coming into that draft. I still stand by that. I still think he's going to have a very good career. And I think that they kind of shock everyone here and take a 7th seed. So those are my AFC predictions.
Yeah, me and Jake Bell are very similar in the AFC. The AFC and the NFC, looking at both, the AFC is very, very top-heavy. Like, very top-heavy. And then after that, it's like, there aren't a lot of teams that you really, really, really believe in. So, Jake has the same 4 division winners from last year. I do as well. I also agree that the Ravens will be the number 1 seed in the AFC. I think this is going to be that. I think the AFC North. I don't have another playoff team from the AFC North. I'll just say that. So, which I doubt that will be the case, but it's hard for me to believe in the Steelers and Bengals for different reasons. But I'll get into that. I don't have the list of seedings from 2, 3, and 4. Like, I don't have the exact seedings like Jake. The Chiefs, though, the reason I don't have them as the 1 seed, I think there are people saying that the Chargers are going to win the division, and obviously the Broncos are going to be good. The Raiders are going to be better. Like, I'm not going to say the Chiefs aren't going to win the division until they actually don't win the division. But there's serious concerns about the offensive line. They have a rookie, is it right tackle or left tackle? I think it's a rookie left tackle. I could be wrong, but they drafted him at the end of the first round. I think it'll end up working out for them because they just know what they're doing. But we got to be a little concerned about their offensive line, and we have to remember. I mean, how many one-score games did they win last year? So I think the Chiefs obviously are not there. I don't think they're going to win 14, 15 games this year. And then I have the Texans. That division is just so weak. And same can be said for the Bills. As far as the NFC, the AFC East or AFC. Wait a second. Is it the West? Or no, the AFC South. AFC South. You know, I think obviously the Titans, Cam Ward is an interesting storyline. So I think the Colts and the Jaguars are both interesting, but not interestingly enough to compete with the Texans. I mean, I think the Texans kind of had a down year last year, and they really competed in the playoffs still. So I think they're a legit team. And the Bills, I mean, Josh Allen. I'm not a huge Sean McDermott guy. I think their defense has been not as good as it needs to be, but they're still going to win that division. And then again, I have the Chargers making the playoffs again. I have the Broncos also making the playoffs again. Now, my thing was, is it either going to be the Broncos or the Bengals? Like, which one of those teams? The Bengals, I think, offensively have a lot more talent, but I'm going to go with the better organization, the better coach. Zach Taylor, I think this is going to be his last year. He should have been fired after last year. Their defense is still going to be a mess. I mean, they can't even sign their first-round pick. Trey Hendrickson, who knows what's going to happen there. It's so much dysfunction. I just can't trust it. And you got to play the Ravens twice a year. You got to play the Steelers twice a year. I'm not like hyping up the Steelers like crazy, but like it's, you know, the AFC North we know is always tough. Even the Browns, it's tough. So I think what I keep thinking about with the Broncos is just how good their defense was last year. And they didn't really have a lot of elite talent. It was similar to the Vikings. Like, they didn't have like a lot of, it was just plain better coaching. And now you add, I believe, didn't they sign Dre Greenlaw? If maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. But
I want to say so.
They improved that defense in free agency. I think Bo Nix, I think with Sean Payton, like, it's hard for me to take them out over the dysfunctional Bengals. And then the Patriots are also my surprise team. I don't think they're necessarily surprised. I think a lot of people think that they're going to be... But, like, if you look at their division, the Jets, the Dolphins, I think they're starting to start over again. Even though they have Tua, I don't think they're going to be that good. And the thing is, I really believe Drake Bay is proven as a franchise quarterback, and now you bring in Mike Vrabel. You got something really interesting there. I talked about the Steelers and the Bengals for different reasons. I don't think they're gonna be close, but the Steelers, it's too much new stuff this year. It's just and Aaron Rodgers. I just don't trust it.
That was my way of thinking too.
And then, but the one team I want to mention, and then we'll move on to whatever we're moving on to. I think Nate has to go, but the Colts. I remember last year I hyped them up so much, and I'm definitely not like saying they're going to make the playoffs. But Daniel Jones, remember the last time he got an offensive coach in his first year with Brian
I like
Dable?
what I'm hearing.
Like, he fixed him, and I think, look, I'm a big Shane Steichen guy. By the way, Jones is going to start. They didn't pay him all that money, $14 million, for him to sit behind Anthony Richardson. Jones is definitely going to start. I think a new scenery, the athleticism is there, we know. I think with Jonathan Taylor and that offensive line, if you can get Daniel Jones not to do too much, I think in that division, that's an 8-9 win team, possibly a 10-win team. Like, that would not completely surprise me. And I'm not saying Daniel Jones is a good quarterback, but look, the last time he got a new coach, it worked out a new offensive coach, it worked out pretty well for him. And of course, everything went to crap. But that's because he's not that good. But I'm saying, with that offensive line, with that running game, with Shane Steichen, he could have another 1-year burst potentially. And he knows this is his last chance. So Colts are always kind of interesting.
I love what I'm hearing about Daniel Jones.
Oh, I know you do. I did that just for you, Jake.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys stealing my thunder here. We agree on basically everything in the AFC. I think the Bills should run away with the East. Miami, I think this could be just a terrible year for Miami.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, I was wondering, why, you look at the talent they have on offense, why can't they fight for a playoff spot? But you see just all this dysfunction with them. They're just completely dysfunctional right now. Tyreek Hill every year wants to leave, and then he has to go back to training camp, and then Tua has to say, he has to earn back the locker room. It's just a mess. So I don't think Miami makes a run. The Jets, I mean, we heard this Justin Fields news this morning. Thought it could be, an Achilles, people were potentially saying. Luckily, he's only day-to-day, which is great news for the Jets, but they're not going to really go anywhere, I don't think, this year. So I have the Bills coming out of the East.
Defense, though, I think their defense is going to be a lot better this year, but I can't believe in Justin Fields. I really just can't. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a 7-win team to me. They look like they could be feisty at times and everything, and if a game's close, they can keep games close. That defense it has to be better. I mean, the guys they have on that defense, it should have been better last year. So
when Robert Saleh left, they were completely lost.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for Saleh. I don't think he was a terrible coach, but
yeah, I think we talked about this before. He shouldn't have got fired. They're just their ownership is run by teenagers, literally, half the time. So they don't know what they're doing. But so I got the Bills out of the East as the winner. I have the Ravens winning the North. People were saying that this is their best roster actually in several many years actually, and I don't think they've made a great large strides in this offseason, but I think they got better. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is another depth piece at the wide receiver position. People forget that Zay Flowers is a 1,000-yard receiver. Rashad Bateman's not terrible. They should be all right. And their defense added Jair Alexander, so I think they're going to be. They might be the team that does get that 1 seed, like you're saying, Jake. I didn't do the seeding either, but they would probably be my 1 seed because they look like they were voted as the best roster. They have a really every position they're pretty solid at. So I like the Ravens to win the North. Now the South, man, some of these teams I could dream on Tennessee winning a good amount of games this year. Actually, I could dream on. It's not dreaming with the Colts. It's more I just think the Colts could win 9-10 games this year as well. For what you guys said about Daniel Jones, he's not everybody just makes out like he's the worst quarterback known to. He's just this bottom tier guy.
That's why I defend him. I don't defend him because I think he's a very good quarterback. I just defend him because everyone thinks that he's awful and he's not. He's not
awful. If he's in a great situation, he'll be pretty decent. I think he will be decent. And obviously, you got Jonathan Taylor, you got Pittman, you got Allen Pierce, you got some good pieces, and a good defense.
Jones is he was put in a negative spot from a media standpoint from the beginning. I mean, he should have never been drafted 6th overall. Everyone knew that from the.
And he was getting booed like he was the person in the wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Right. So so I could see the Colts. I mean, the South, I just don't. And Jacksonville, if they're fully healthy, I know their defense is a train wreck, but it has to get better. And Trevor Lawrence wasn't playing well. If he has to, this is a make or break year for him as well. There's a lot of pressure in that division. I think Tennessee with Cam Ward, they got some good. I mean, Calvin Ridley's a really good receiver. They got a couple Traylon Burks if he takes the next step. I think they could scare some people as well. So I don't think it's like just a terrible division. And obviously the Texans, I think they're going to win the division, but I think it's going to be close as to I'm not quite sure what that order of finish would be in the AFC South, but I do think the Texans will win. I think they have their schedule's soft in some areas. I think they could have a good season. Again, it seems like past several years it's just like they're cruising to AFC South wins. I think this year will be a little harder. So I have them winning 10 or so games, I would say. But I think there could be. I think Indianapolis wins at least 9, probably 9, and I think Jacksonville and Tennessee they could be 6. I think there's a lot more parity in the NFL this season actually compared to last year. Now last year there was just like a lot of bottom feeders. But I think you look at the Browns. I think the Browns are clearly the worst team in the AFC. And then other than that, I think the Jets are competitive. I think that whole South is going to be pretty competitive, and the whole West is going to be competitive. So as for the West, the Broncos and Chargers schedules I was looking at too. They're not that difficult, and I think Jake, I agree. Their defense was just elite last year. Can they replicate that? It'll be interesting. I'm not quite sure, but they have a really easy schedule, and they're one of the best home teams in the NFL. They have one of the great home environments. So I think they're going to do well, but the Chiefs have a tougher schedule. They play the Lions, they play the Ravens, they play the Bills, and I think they play the Eagles as well. And but I'm not going to pick against them until it happens. I did it last year. I was like, I'm not picking against them for anything until they're completely dethroned. So I'm going to have the Chiefs winning the AFC West. So I have the Bills win the East, Ravens in the North, same as you guys, Texans and Chiefs. As for my wild card teams, boy, I want to stick New England in there because I love what they did this offseason. They're the perfect candidate to take that jump, and I think I'm going to. It's just you got to leave out either Cincinnati, Denver, or the Chargers. Like one of those teams, and I like all three of those teams. It's just like really tough. I feel like the Steelers aren't making it. I'm gonna say that too. I think their schedule's much tougher than some of these teams. I think New England does make it because I think they have a lot of easy games. I just look at their schedule, so I think New England makes it. I think I'm gonna put in both West teams too. I think I'm gonna leave out the Bengals, and I think it could follow the similar pattern as to last year, where they start out slow again. They got some tougher games to start, and right now, like they're still like, is Hendrickson gonna play? We think he's gonna play for them to start, but that is not resolved at all. Shamar Stewart thing is a complete mess.
He's practicing at Texas A&M.
Yeah, that's insane.
What? How is that like?
And the holdup now the holdup with Shamar Stewart apparently is the in his contract his agent wanted like him to be compensated if for some reason he were to be in prison.
I think injury too.
An injury, but in the Bengals owner Paul Brown or whatever his name is, not Paul Brown, but part of the Brown family, he said that's just a ridiculous thing, but it's like he's not going to go to it's a very slim chance that anybody's going to prison, right?
Yeah, but why?
So,
why?
Like,
I did forget.
Why
Why
is that
are
a
you
contract?
saying that? Why are you even mentioning that? Like, why are you like concerned?
Yeah,
that
just
you're
say
gonna
injury.
Go to
Don't
prison?
say.
Yeah, that was weird. It's like, do you think your client's going to be going to prison?
I feel like that may be a cover up.
That might
like,
be.
I don't know if that's really true. Like, let's be honest. Like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, but I just think this team, like, their defense got better to end the season last year. But I still look at their defense. I think there's a lot of questions still. And if Hendrickson isn't playing for the first few games, or even longer than that, then it's going to be a complete disaster. And their early season schedule, it's not terribly tough, but they got to go to Denver, they got to go to Minnesota. They play the Lions, and they're at the Packers. So that I think they could start out really slow again, and then there's some easier games to end. But I think it might be too late again. I think I have the Chargers making it, and I have the Broncos making it. So do we have the exact same
Me and you do. And the only difference
Yeah.
with Jake is he has the Bengals over the Broncos.
Correct.
That's the only
Okay.
difference.
But yeah, I think the Broncos are due for some regression. But I think Bo Nix is going to get better, and I think again, it's hard to read into schedules this early, but I'm just like they get a lot of mediocre teams at home, and some of these road games are not the hardest. So
Their defense,
I
I think is going to be like because they're better. Like they have better personnel now, and they were top 3 last year. Like it's crazy.
yeah, so that's mine. So I guess me and Peyton have the Bills, Ravens, Texans. Right, you had the Texans, Peyton, AFC
Yeah.
South, and Chiefs winning those divisions, and then the 3 wild cards: Broncos, Chargers, Patriots. We're buying in on the Patriots, man.
I didn't think you guys
Did-
would take them either.
I wasn't, but I just looked today and I'm like, I like what they did with this roster. I think their
Yeah.
defense could be really
they had
good.
the most money in free cap space in free agency, and they took advantage of it. And you have the franchise quarterback, you have the coach, and you're typically a functional franchise. So it adds up.
Yeah.
But it may not. It doesn't always happen in the first year, with a new coach. So. But it's
variable.
You look at some
Right,
of these
it's
other
not
teams,
like a
it's
new head
There's a
coach.
lot of
It's
dysfunction.
It's a new head coach for the team. He has experience, which is
Right.
gonna
That's
be,
what I
it's
meant,
gonna be
yeah.
like with Jim Harbaugh. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the only difference is, me and Peyton got Patriots, Broncos, Chargers as wild cards. Jake has Patriots, Bengals, and Chargers. Right? You had
Yep.
Chargers, Jake?
yep,
So,
yeah, Chargers as the best wild card team.
Yeah, and the Raiders. I love what the Raiders did this offseason as well. They just brought in Jamal Adams as well for some good depth. I looked like conversely, like them and the Chiefs have tougher schedules than the Chargers and Broncos in that Western division. The Raiders have some tough home games and some road games that would be kind of coin flips. I could see the Raiders. It might be like a better season for them. I think it will be for sure, but it might be
Yeah.
a 7-8 win team, and that's that's the reality of it. But if you're a Raiders fan, you have to like what you're seeing here. They're gonna go all in with what they've done and with Pete Carroll. And Geno Smith's not a terrible quarterback, so. But yeah, it is gonna be interesting. I don't think again, I'm looking at the Steelers' schedule and I'm saying it screams 9-8, and I know people don't want to hear that. Oh, everybody says 9-8, but I'm looking at it. It could be 8-9 too, for all we know, but we just haven't seen that yet. If people want us to rah the Steelers, you're gonna go to a different, podcast. But I think we're fair about the team. I think it's a better roster than last year, but I think the Ravens games are going to be tough. I think the Bengals are going to be at the end. We might lose both those games, and then who knows? So, and there's some tough games. Packers at home. You play the Lions. You have to go to New England. You got to go to the Bears, who we're going to get into. I'm very high on the Bears. I think I might be very high on the Bears. So that's what we have in the AFC. Anything else you guys want to add about the AFC? All right, let's move to the
here.
NFC, which is just a minefield. I don't know. I mean, I still don't know what my 7 are going to be. I'm going to think about it while you guys are saying yours, because this is just a lot. I think the Eagles are going to be the best team again, probably. But you look at the Rams, you look at the Lions, who have a great roster but a gauntlet of a schedule. You have that whole NFC North that looks really good. You can't forget about Washington, and the 49ers have a Charmin Ultra Soft schedule. So I don't know what's going on.
Gotta love Charmin. I prefer Ultra Strong.
I
but
don't.
I really think
We need to be
Charmin.
soft.
I don't use Charmin, but I just wanted to say that because I just thought of that. It was kind of funny. But what do you guys have? What do we have for the NFC?
So the NFC, I actually had to add 4 teams that barely missed because it's just a crazy conference. So the first team that I have barely missing is the Seahawks. I think they'll be competitive. I like their head coach. Obviously, they brought in Sam Darnold, Cooper Kupp. Their defense has been solid, but I think that the Vikings got the most out of Sam Darnold. I think that he could put up relative numbers to Geno Smith, honestly, which is kind of ironic. But I just don't see them really being this like great team. I hope that Darnold does well. I think Cooper Kupp will be a huge help if he's healthy, but I just don't see it, unfortunately. Next team I have barely missing is the Bears. I think they'll be about 3 or 4 games better than last year. But I have a bad feeling that with Ben Johnson, they might get silly at times on offense, and it could cost them games. And I feel like this will be a year that he learns how to be a head coach and not just the offensive guru that he was out of Detroit. Another team I have barely missing the playoffs is the Cardinals. I really think that they could be a 10-win team and miss the playoffs. I really like their head coach. I think Kyler Murray is going to continue to do well. I think their defense can be underrated at times. It's just so stacked in the NFC. I just don't think that they have the star power that could really elevate them into a playoff spot. And then the last team I'm barely missing is the Vikings. I just don't know much about J.J. McCarthy. I think he could probably do better if he had a Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley. Well, every quarterback would. But still, I feel like he needs that like one big bruiser. I think Aaron Jones could work. He's still with the Vikings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he'll work well with him for the most part, but it might be tough. Their defense is going to win them a lot of games for sure. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. So now we'll go to the division winners. This is going to be the hottest take, I think, of the episode. I have the Packers stealing a 1 seed. I think they take advantage of a couple teams maybe not doing as well, a couple kind of surprise playoff teams. I think they could win 13 games. Jordan Love finally, like, he had his, sophomore slump. It's not a sophomore year, but you know what I mean, like his second year as a full-time starting quarterback, and he still made the playoffs. I think that roster could do well. I know that they lost a guy like Jared Alexander, but he's been hurt a lot. I think it would be more of a miss if he was playing significantly more without an injury. I think that they randomly kind of a more shocking 1 seed. For the 2 seed, I have the Eagles winning their division. I think that's a no-brainer. They're still going to be a very good team. Their Super Bowl window should not be shut, I'd assume. So I think we could see them. 3rd seed is another shocker, but not really because of their pedigree. I'm going with the 49ers winning their division. I think they bounce back in a big way. I know there's a little bit of question marks with the receiving room and all that, but I think Purdy, even though he did sign that big contract, still has a chip on his shoulder because now everyone's saying, oh, he's not worth the contract. So I think he's out there to prove something. I still think that the 49ers defense usually I still think they're going to be good. I know, there could be some question marks, but I think that they end up winning their division. And I think the Buccaneers are the last team to win their division. I just don't really trust that division very much. Maybe Bryce Young could take the next step. I don't think Saints are going to be very good. Falcons, it's hard to trust them right now. I like Michael Penix a lot. I think he could be good, but I don't know. Just something about the organization, like without Matt Ryan at his peak, like it just, I don't know, makes me a little nervous. Now we go to the wildcard teams. I think the best wildcard team is going to be the Rams. I still think they'll be competitive. I think Devontae Adams is not going to be a drop-off to Cooper Kupp, and he should be healthy. So I think that'll be a big thing for their offense. I think their young defense that did pretty well last year is still going to do well just because of that, just the organization they're in. They've been winning for a while, so I think they'll do well. I actually have the Cowboys stealing a wild card as well. I just think if Dak Prescott's fully healthy, if that offense could just manage, I think that they could be a playoff team. I think they could win 11 games and sneak into a wild card spot. And the Lions I have as the last wild card spot as the 7th seed. That might come as a shocker, and it really is. That's not a team, like, for how well they've been doing the last couple of years. But I just think that I don't think their Super Bowl window's shut, but I do think they struggle. I think some guys are going to get injured. It's just, I don't know. I just have a bad feeling, and I don't want to have this bad feeling because I root for the team. I'm not root for the team, obviously, but, you know what I mean? Like, you root for Dan Campbell, you root for the Lions to have a good season. I just don't think they're going to be as great as they were the last year or two. So,
Well, Jake Bell, there's a couple things I'm in line with you with, like close, and there's a couple things I'm not in line with you at all.
It's a coin flip. It
I'm
is such a
shocked
coin
by the
flip.
Cowboys. I'm shocked by
Yeah.
that. But if you have Dak healthy and you get the GPCD thing working, it's just so dysfunctional in Dallas. And I think I think they downgraded a head coach. I mean, what is Brian Schottenheimer? So actually, I'll start out with the teams I think are going to be have a down year this year compared to last year. Obviously, I think it's the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to finish last in their division. The Falcons, I also think have a down year. I like Michael Penix, but I'm going to be honest, I think Raheem Morris, I'm not buying into him. I don't like what they did trading. They're like desperate on defense. They're acting. You have a defensive coach that's supposed to make the defense better without like making crazy personnel decisions. And they draft an edge rusher. Okay, great. And then they trade a first round pick to the Rams to draft another edge rusher, who, by the way, has off the field issues. The kid from Tennessee, I can't remember his name. I just think the Falcons are dysfunctional. I don't love the coach. I think the Falcons finish third or fourth in their division this year.
Fourth?
I also think third or fourth.
No way they finish fourth.
I think Saints are probably the worst team.
The Saints are a joke this year.
I'm getting to the Saints. And then I also think the Vikings have a down year. Obviously, they won 14 games last year. Look, you have Brian Flores in that defense, but I think I know Kevin O'Connell is like a magician with these quarterbacks, but J.J. McCarthy does not have the talent of Sam Darnold. I don't think. And I don't, in that division, I have them finishing last in their division this year. Kevin O'Connell will probably make me regret that, but that's where we're going. Should I guess... Okay, then I'll go to the teams that I have just barely missing the playoffs. The first team that I have barely missing the playoffs, and this is kind of the same direction as Jake, although he had them in the playoffs, is the Detroit Lions. Very similarly to the 2024 Eagles, or 2023 Eagles, whatever it was. You have a great year, make it to the Super Bowl. The Lions didn't make it to the Super Bowl. You lose your offensive coordinator and your defensive coordinator, two of the best in the game. Now, I think the Lions offensive coordinator they got, it was an out-of-house hire, which is good. He has Sean Payton ties. So I don't think the offense will be terrible. But look, let's be honest about Jared Goff, okay? I think he's a good quarterback, but I think he's been exceeding expectations for a while now. And I think losing those coordinators, we have to remember Dan Campbell is a rah-rah guy. He's not an X's and O's kind of coach. I think there are teams in that division, well, specifically the Bears and the Packers, who are going to make big strides this year. And I think in such a competitive conference, I think the Lions have just a down year. I don't think it's like the end of the world for them if they miss it this year, but like, I think they're going to need a little bit of a reset after this year. The other team I have just missing is the 49ers. Yes, they have a cupcake schedule, but look, I think Kyle Shanahan is, let's just say he's over his heels right now. He thinks he's smarter than the entire football world. He's been reaching for picks in the draft. I haven't liked their drafts lately. I don't like the signing of Little Brock Purdy. And I think a lot of their guys are old. They're like saying, well, we're going to have this guy back. We're going to have this guy. We're going to have Trent Williams. We're going to have C-Mac back. But these guys constantly have injury issues. The defense continues to get older. I think in that division, I think they're going to struggle in their division against the Rams and the Seahawks. And obviously, I think the Lions are going to be... I could be very wrong about the Lions. So I have both of those teams. And then I have the Cardinals missing, but being very competitive. I agree with you, Jake. I like the coach. But look, I think this is going to be the last year for Kyler Murray in Arizona. I think he's traded after this year. He's the biggest mystery quarterback in the NFL. What is Kyler Murray? Is he a star or is he an average quarterback? I don't know what he is. And his attitude he gets very pouty very easily, kind of like an Aaron Rodgers, but like worse, like on the field. Like and then we had him playing the video games. I'm not into Kyler Murray, and I think he's gonna let them down this year a little bit, and I think that's why they fall short, especially in that tough of a division. Now let's go to the playoff teams. Here's a big surprise. I have the Commanders winning the division and the number 1 seed. And I think Jaden Daniels is competing
I forgot about
with
the Commanders.
Lamar Jackson.
I think they'll miss the
NFL
playoffs, actually.
for NFL MVP. I'm sorry, what'd you say, Jake?
No, I was going to say I forgot about the Commanders. That's my, barely missing the playoffs.
Yeah,
team.
you know what?
Yeah.
You didn't even have them in here.
No, I should have had
You're going to put them
They're
over the
going to barely miss
Cowboys.
the playoffs. No, that's not on me because I forgot about Because that's why I had them, but I just forgot to write them down. So I was like, oh, yeah. But
Where
yeah,
do
I
you
have
have
them
the
barely missing the playoffs.
Commanders?
What?
Where do you have the Commanders?
I said barely missing the playoffs. Just sophomore slump type thing. Defense struggling. But I still like them a lot.
I think he's the best coach in that division. And I think Jaden Daniels will prove to be the best quarterback in that division.
You're forgetting that your
Eagles
buddy
won
Nick
the
Sirianni.
I don't care.
Super Bowl winner
I'm not
Nick
leaving
Sirianni.
the Eagles. I think it'll be but I think it's going to be similar to last year with the Lions and the Vikings. I think both of those teams are going to have 2 of the best records in the league. But I'm going with the better quarterback and the better coach in the long run. And I'm going with the Commanders to take a big leap this year. I mean, their offensive line is improved, and their defense was, personnel-wise, was really bad last year and still held their own. And I think, obviously, they made improvements. Then I have the Rams winning the division. Obviously, Devontae Adams, Matt Stafford. He got better as the year went on last year. And Sean McVay. I love that team. The Bucs are going to win that division. Their division is just weak. Now you have Mike Evans, the kid from Ohio State, at wide receiver. And then you have Chris Godwin, who will come back later down the line in the season. And I think Todd Bowles doesn't get a lot of credit. I think he's a very solid defensive coach. And then, similarly to Jake Bell, I don't have the Packers as the number 1 seed, but I do have the Packers winning the division. I think this is a big year for Jordan Love, and I think he is the most talented quarterback in that division. And I think he's going to take a big leap this year. Look, he started out with that injury last year. Everything was just kind of off with them. And they don't have a lot of star power, but they have a very, very complete team. And I think their defense with the Boston College coordinator, it's more about Jordan Love than anything. I really think this is a big year for Jordan Love. Then I have the Eagles as my 5 seed. Obviously, they're a great team. Even when they had that down year where they lost their coordinators, they still made the playoffs. So, they probably win the division, but I'm taking a big shot with the Commanders. Then here are my 2 new playoff teams in the NFC. First is the Seattle Seahawks. They nailed their draft this year. I mean, every pick, I was like, wow, that's a great pick. And their defensive coach, I think Mike McDonald is one of the better defensive coaches in the game, actually. And I think they've kind of done they're kind of doing a rebuild in a way that's gonna, I think, pay off this year. I think they're not gonna be a great team, but I think good enough to make the playoffs, considering how well their draft was. And they got an upgrade at quarterback. They absolutely got an upgrade at quarterback with Sam Darnold. I really, really like it. For me, it's their draft. For me, I remember just being very impressed with their draft. And then finally, we're the off-season champions. I'm buying in again to the Chicago Bears. I think you got a massive upgrade at coach. Massive upgraded coach. I think Ben Johnson, I remember hearing him in some interviews. I really think that he's going to help Caleb Williams. Very creative. I think he knows how to talk. I mean, look what he did with Jared Goff. And Caleb Williams, he has a lot more talent than Jared Goff. I'm not dissing Jared Goff, but I really Caleb Williams has gotten a lot of heat. I think the offensive line, adding Joe Thuney, is such a huge, and fixing that offensive line is such a huge thing. And if they can just get Caleb Williams to make the simple throws and not try and make a big play every time, they're gonna have themselves a franchise quarterback. I just think the Bears, again, they one of these off seasons have to work for them. One of these times, something's got to go right for the Bears. So, 49ers and Lions would probably be the smarter choice there to be one of the wild card teams. But Ben Johnson, baby, we're riding. Oh, and then I finally want to mention, before I know I've been going on and on, but I think there's 3 teams that I think aren't really that close to the playoffs, but are competitive, and that's the Panthers with Bryce Young and their coach. You think they're, like you said, Nate, I think their defense is going to be better. The Giants, look, with Russ, that's an improvement over what they had, and Daniel Jones. And Brian Dable's on the hot seat, so he's going to do everything he can to win games. And then I think the Saints, look, I don't think they have a very good roster, but everybody's laughing at Tyler Shook. There was this one clip of him in the combine making a goofy throw. Oh, well, he sucks. I think he was one of the most polished quarterbacks in this year's draft class. It wouldn't shock me if he impressed the most this year out of all the rookie quarterbacks. So I really like him. But I don't think the Saints roster, I mean, I still think they're a 6-7 win team. I don't think their roster is just good enough. So, yeah.
All right. Well, we have a lot of disagreements. I have some shocking things maybe relative to what you guys have here, particularly regarding the NFC North, which I thought would be where our disagreements would align. But first, I think, Peyton, you know what? I think I agree with you about Dallas. I'm not even hating or anything. I looked at their schedule. It is very difficult.
Brutal.
And you look at the Giants, you get that Russell Wilson, we saw him. He was very decent for the Steelers. Was he great? No. But was he about average? Yes. And with their defense, which is going to be good, it usually is good. It's just that they can't score any points usually. With
and a
Malik
better
Neighbors,
offensive coach.
Right. And now we'll see what running back, how that all works for them. But I think they're going to win 6-7 games. I agree about the Giants. I think the Cowboys could win 5 or 6 games. I think if the Giants might go 7-10, the Cowboys 6-11 or something.
So either I'm a genius or I'm an idiot, depending on how the season.
I'm just going to go through what they got here: at the Eagles, at the Bears, host the Packers, at the Panthers, who I think could be tough, host Commanders, at the Broncos, hosting the Cardinals, who I think could be good, at the Raiders, which is no gimme, host the Eagles, host the Chiefs, at the Lions, at home against the Vikings, home against the Chargers, at the Commanders, and at the Giants. That's their whole schedule. There's 2 teams that are kind of bad that they play.
And I want to say,
tough.
Jake thinks Dak's going to be good this year. I
think
really
he will be
think
too.
Dak.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Dak. I mean, obviously, he's better than you want to have him on the field, but I think Mike McCarthy, he gets a lot of hate, but he had that passing game in rhythm. Dak is a rhythm quarterback, and I just don't know what Brian Schottenheimer is going to do for him in that offense. And, I mean, their defense got ran over last year. I know they had a lot of injuries, but is their defense really going to be better? And then you have George and CD. Yeah. It's just a lot of I don't know.
It's almost a gut feeling for me just because that offense, when healthy, competes for the playoffs. So that's just kind of where I was at.
Who's their do they have a running back now? Who's their running back now?
I have no idea.
Did they bring Zeke back? I think that might be it.
No, that was last year.
Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams and Miles
Oh,
Sanders.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think my issue lies with this Cowboys team. I think they're going to be in a lot of close games, and I don't trust Brian Schottenheimer. I'm sorry, I just don't trust him in these close games to get it done. I think they're George Pickens. We'll see. We know firsthand, and they're even a much more dysfunctional franchise than the Steelers are. For all the Steelers' kind of mediocrity, they are just unstable, and they don't have ownership that's steady at all. And they don't have a general manager who's steady. Obviously, it's Jerry Jones, who's also the owner. So I just don't. All these signs, like I like their offense, I really do, but I don't know about their defense. I think in close games, I don't know if I trust them at all. So but I have out of that NFC East. I thought I was going to have the bold prediction with the Commanders winning the East, but Peyton kind of stole my thunder. Again, this is what happens when you host. You go last. But I think their schedule's a lot easier than the Eagles, actually, the Commanders. And I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, the Eagles just won the Super Bowl, and I'm going to put them, they're not going to win their division. But the Eagles have a lot of tough games this year. And I think they're going to be of the mindset, hey, we're going to, we'll win. I think they're going to win 11. I think they're going to win 11 games or something, which is great. But I think a little less than last year. And I think they're going to really focus on this playoffs. I think they're going to be just as dangerous in the playoffs as last year. I just think in the regular season, there's a lot of tough games that if you got a playoff spot secured, maybe take the foot off the gas in some instances, rest some of your guys because you want that team healthy for the playoffs. So I have both of them making it. I have the Eagles actually as the wild card. They'll be the top wild card. As for the North, actually I'll just go with the South first. I have the Bucks winning it. I love the Bucks. I love what they do every year. Jason Licht is a really good general manager. He does a great job. They were able to re-sign Chris Godwin. They have a really deep wide receiver room. And I think their defense with Kalijah Kancey, he's going to take a big step this year. I really like their team. So I think they're going to win 11, 12 games maybe even. I think they're head and shoulders in that NFC South. And in the West, I have the Rams winning that division again. I agree with you guys. I think the 49ers, especially Payne, I agree with you about the Niners. They have a very soft schedule, but this is their weakest team in years. And I have questions about their age on defense. I have questions about if Brock Purdy can really carry this team. We saw last year he wasn't able to. There were different circumstances, like the offense was messed up and everything. I don't think he deserved the money he got, but Dak Prescott's making $60 million, so and he's a good quarterback, but he's not the best quarterback in football, obviously. So I think the Niners will win 10 games, but I think they missed the playoffs actually because I think there's a bunch of teams that are gonna win like 10, 11 games in the NFC. So I have the Rams winning the West, and I have the Cardinals just missing, and the Niners just missing. I have the Seahawks as a 7-win team this year. I don't like their schedule. I don't like the roster really. I think Sam Darnold takes a slight little bit of a step back actually.
That's what I have too.
So I have but they're going to be competitive. It'll be tough games. Obviously, there's no bad team in the West, but let's get to the North. We the North. This is going to surprise you guys a little bit. I have the Packers finishing dead last, in fact, in the NFC North.
It's a toss-up on who's first, second, third, or fourth in that division.
I agree. I just think Jordan Love, I didn't like what I saw last year, I got to be honest. Is it sophomore slump, or is it that some of these receivers around him, we think they're, the thing has been like, oh, they're young, you know what I mean? They're going to grow into it. Are they? Is Dobbs going to get and grow into it? Is Christian Watson going to improve to that level? And their defense, I think, is slightly above average. I think they're going to win 8 games, I think, which puts you last in the North. I got the Lions winning it again, wow.
Over JJ McCarthy.
You never know, though.
Jordan Love's not going to be better than JJ McCarthy.
Okay, let's get to the Vikings. No, I don't think JJ McCarthy is going to be better than Jordan Love. But the Vikings, top to bottom, the roster is not much better, but it's clearly better than Green Bay's. I mean, at every position. I like Aaron Jones. I think he's an underrated guy. they got the best skill position group maybe in all of football. Their defense is going to be very good again next year. And you talk about, Brian Flores, and we talk about Kevin O'Connell as the offensive guy. I don't think I was low on McCarthy coming out of college too, but if he can game manage, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Hawkinson. Come on, Aaron Jones. I think they're gonna win.
You make good
10
points.
games. I think they make the playoffs. I think the Bears make the playoffs. I love their offense now as well. They are really deep at receiver. They're obviously really deep at tight end now after drafting. What was his name that they drafted? I can't remember his name, but
from Michigan.
Yeah, it was like
Colston Loveland.
Yeah, Loveland.
Colston Loveland. He's going to be pretty good. And they already have Roma Dunze is going to take a next step. I think their receiving core is very good. And you talk about what was their issue. There were several games last year they could have won, but there were just some timely sacks because that offensive line was horrendous. And they said in this offseason, we're going to shore up this offensive line if it kills us. And they completely shored it up. You mentioned a little bit, Peyton. Joe Tooney. I love Joe Tooney. He's been great wherever he's been. But there were other guys they added, too. They just really shored that up. That shouldn't be an issue at all for Caleb Williams. And, Peyton, you mentioned that you thought Jordan Love was the most talented quarterback in the North. I think Caleb Williams was the number one pick. And, I think he's clearly the most talented.
Oh, yeah. I'm an idiot. You're right. You're right.
I think they're gonna.
We haven't seen Caleb do it yet. That's the only thing. But I think Caleb is more talented. Yeah, I kind of forgot that didn't. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get you. But so I think they're gonna win 11 games. I do. I think the Bears finish second, Vikings third in that North, and I think the Lions do win the division. I know their schedule's tough. I know there's injuries. One of their best rushers, who was kind of almost a replacement for Hutchinson last year, is going to be out for the year, it looks like. And so that's going to be tough. But you get Hutchinson coming back. Maybe he's not what he once was. You never know with these injuries. But he should be really, really good either way. They added to their defense. I think it's better now. They lost my guy, Carlton Davis, to the Patriots. But I think they're still going to be pretty decent defensively. And I think offensively, I understand about the coordinators. I just get a feeling everybody's saying the Lions, are they going to win 9 games because the schedule's so tough and they're losing all these coordinators. And there's something about Dan Campbell, man. And I know we see with Mike Tomlin the motivation.
He says, man, come on, man.
I know the motivation kind of thing. We've talked about with Mike Tomlin how that works in September and October and part of November. But when it gets late and you need to be at your best, the motivation's already at its highest. There's only so much you can do. But I think Dan Campbell, I think people just read into him as just kind of a motivational, kind of rah-rah guy, fire everybody up, biting kneecaps. I think he really rubs off. I think he knows football. I love his aggression, and I still think the Lions win that division. I don't know. I know their schedule looks to be the toughest, but I just have a feeling. A lot of it's just a feeling with some of these teams, Yeah. That's kind of what I am with the Vikings as well. I just feel like there's the only biggest deficiency with their roster is the quarterback, and I think he could be a game manager for the Vikings, and I think they can win 10, 11 games. So I have the Commanders, Lions, Bucks, and Rams winning the divisions. I have the Eagles getting the first wild card, Bears getting the second, and the Vikings getting the third. And I got a bunch of teams like the Cardinals, the Niners, the Packers kind of hovering around there, around 10 wins actually, but not making the playoffs just because there's so many good teams. And Peyton, I agree with you about Carolina. I think they're going to take a step up. This will be a big year for Bryce Young. I think they could win 7, 8 games and be pesky for some of these teams. I think the Cardinals are going to be good. Now, I still have questions a little bit about that defense still. And Kyler Murray, obviously, is he going to take that next step? It seems like he's not, but if he does, I think they will make the playoffs. I just don't know if he will. So I think they just miss. I think the Niners just miss again because again I just think they're on a negative plane right now. I feel like they're just on the downswing. I think everything around them is kind of negative. We have the Ayuk situation from last year, and then now, and he didn't have a good year, and now it's all weird. Their depth's going to be tested here at receiver. Their draft was iffy. I think we could all agree. There were some good picks, and there were some that really made you scratch your head. So that is my NFC. So yes.
Who's the number 1 seed? Who's your number 1 seed?
It might be. I'm thinking about Tampa Bay, actually. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
I mean,
I think I'm dreaming about Tampa Bay.
Well, like,
I think it's
though.
gonna be. Hey, let me look at this. Real quick, let me just look at what they got.
The NFC is so crazy. Like, there's.
It is.
They get the Saints.
Be.
They get the Saints twice. They get the Panthers twice, who I think they're going to be improved, but I think they should beat them both times. Yeah, I think we all agree, at least Peyton does, that the Falcons, I think, I don't see it with them this year. They play the Jets at home. I don't know, they got some good home games. They play the Patriots at home. That's good for them. It's not the easiest schedule, but I think they could. But I'll say the Rams. I don't know. I have no idea.
You don't have to know. You don't have to know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
You don't know right now. Okay.
Yeah. I won't know 3 weeks into the season. I won't know in week 16 who's going to be the number 1 seed probably. Yeah. It's just that kind of year for the NFC. But it was hard enough trying to pick who's going to make the playoffs, let alone who's going to be the 1 seed. But it will be. I think it's going to be great balance and parity in that NFC, but I think, I disagree, Peyton, about the Saints. I just think they're going to be a train wreck. Tyler Shuck.
I don't think they're going to be good. I think the quarterback is going to be better than.
I know, but I think they're.
But I don't think the team is good.
I think they win 3 games. I mean, I don't think.
I do think they could compete for the worst team in the NFL just because the rest of their roster is kind of just.
What about Kellen Moore?
Kellen Moore, our guy who raises the ceiling significantly. No, I mean, they're favoring like 1 game right now. And even that's generous. They're home against the Jets, and they're slight favorite. I don't even think
I guess
they
because
should
of
be
the
favored.
Phillips injury, yeah.
But yeah, Tyler Shook. It was funny when he had that throw. Everybody's saying this guy's not it. It was
but
so
like
funny.
that's stupid. I hate we judge quarterbacks based on TikTok clips. Justin Fields, look at his swag. Look at him run around. Well, he can't read a defense. Tyler Shook, he's a goof. Because he made a bad throw in camp. Give me a break.
I just think he's a guy who is 25, 26 now. And he's kind of reached his ceiling. He doesn't have as much room to grow in that ceiling. He's not very mobile. And even at times for Louisville, I just think, I don't know. I just don't think he would elevate that roster enough. I just don't really like what they have. Other than, I love Alvin Kamara. Every year he shows up. But other than that, they got really old guys on defense, Cam Jordan, and we love Davis and Jordan. But they're very old now, and they're getting older, and they're on the decline a little bit. So, anything else? Anything else about the NFC?
So Bucks, Panthers, Saints.
Panthers will be interesting. Yeah. I will say that they'll be kind of like.
I think
the
Panthers finish second in that division. Falcons.
They very well could.
Falcons and Saints. I don't know. I think the Falcons should be better than the Saints, but
the Falcons
probably.
If the Falcons finish below the Saints, we gotta have an agreement where I gotta do something crazy, because there is no way the Saints finish above the Falcons. I just don't see it happening because Michael Penix showed a lot last year. I think they have deficiencies still on the front end. I don't like what they did in the draft. It was just weird. They have that edge rusher issue, but it's not about they haven't gotten edge rushers. They just don't know which ones are good. They just can't identify them. So I think they'll be a 7-8 win team or something. Probably 8 wins. So anyway, that's our predictions. Feel free when the season ends to return to them and mock us as much as you want, or praise me specifically because my list is superior. But that's neither here nor there. We're gonna move
We'll
on
make some
to
other predictions before the season starts, like some bolder.
yeah, we'll have different predictions, and
We'll
we
do some
might. Who
different
knows?
stuff.
I might change mine depending, and we might change ours depending on if there's any injuries. Hopefully, there's
Right.
no injuries, obviously, but or
and other
developments here
potential
or there.
trades.
Because not
Yeah.
that any of us had the Jets making the playoffs, but say one of us did, and the Fields injury happens later
Right.
than it does today, like that could be a
Right. Well, I mean, even if it was like that would have we would have said they're a 4-win team,
Yeah.
or 5 wins
right.
instead of where they might be. Although we love Tyrod Taylor, still getting.
Oh,
it
I
done.
forgot he's their back. I was gonna say I forget who their backup is. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
MLB has just been
Wait,
clogging up my head.
who's the
Tyrod.
backup for who?
The Jets. We were talking about the Jets because we were that Fields injury.
Oh,
We were telling we love Tyrod Taylor.
yeah.
Super Bowl winner Tyrod Taylor, by the way, technically.
Oh
The
yeah, that's
Ravens,
right. That
I
was yeah. He was like not even yeah. I remember seeing something about that. But all right, let's move to baseball. We had a good hour conversation. That was a good conversation about.
Oh yeah,
That was a lot. It was some good stuff there about the NFL. But let's talk about the Buccos. They just swept the Tigers to improve to what is that 42-61 now. They're now 19 games under, which is where
Who
they were to
cares?
start the All-Star break. We care because they're only 13 and a half games out of the wild card. You have a month of incredible baseball, and your Buccos are back in the hunt. I'm kidding, obviously. They're done. They were buried weeks ago, but they have a lot of interesting trade pieces, and we've been detailing that a little bit, but we're going to go all in right now, just discussing that. Obviously, Mitch Keller, he started a couple games ago, and he had a pretty good start. He had one pitch he'd like to have back, but another quality start. Every start is a quality start for him. He is firmly on the trade block. Ke'Bryan Hayes is as well, assuming anybody wants him. And but I think some teams will find his defense valuable. Maybe they can improve his hit tool somehow. But obviously the bullpen, Bednar and Santana, their team starved for bullpen help as well. Caleb Ferguson's been a good reliever as well. Andrew Heaney should get traded somewhere. And Tommy Pham, who I don't want to see go. Tommy Pham's been our best hitter, but he's probably going to be traded. Obviously, he's a rental. And IKF is going to be dealt somewhere. Maybe the Yankees. I mean, I saw somewhere actually today, someone said, I think it was Cliff Floyd on MLB Network, that the Yankees, wouldn't hurt for them to trade for a veteran shortstop while Volpe kind of figures it out right now. I think New York's Yankee fans have been very tough on him, and he hasn't had a good year, but I think that kind of criticism has aided kind of his downfall at the plate and on defense. So maybe that's a fit. Basically, every Pirates trade piece has been connected to the Yankees and Brian Cashman one way or another, including O'Neal Cruz as well, as there were some rumors that could he be on the block. Now, there are reports that it's very unlikely. The Pirates would have to be absolutely floored with an offer, which you would expect the Pirates to be in that spot. But hey, I mean, that was something I don't think any of us saw coming, as he's gaining a lot of interest on the trade market. But where do you guys want to go? I guess you want to start with Mitch Keller, probably fits for him. Or we could just go through all of them, fits for each player and what the Pirates could fetch in return.
What I kind of want to do is not only do that, but also kind of mention some bats that are major league bats with major league experience that I think could be in a trade piece of teams that are interested in players that the Pirates have. Just to, I guess, look at that in that way. So yeah,
Absolutely.
Like Mitch Keller. Honestly, I think the Cubs are gonna have to blow the Pirates away with the trade. I think if the Cubs are tied with an offer with like the Blue Jays, the Yankees, the Pirates are gonna go in that direction, not the Cubs. I have a feeling that the Cubs aren't gonna wanna pay that much because I feel like they're going to want more rentals as starting pitchers than a guy locked up under control, just because they have a lot of young guys that can be good. We all forget about Justin Steele. He's still a good pitcher. I think they're kind of looking forward to that rotation for next year and kind of want some rentals just to shore up that rotation. I think that the Mets are a real possibility. I know the Red Sox haven't really been linked to Keller other than he would be a good fit for them. I haven't really heard many like rumors that the Red Sox are interested in Keller, but it would be like Wilyer Abreu has been on the trade block just because he might not have the ceiling as a Roman Anthony and some of these other outfielders, and they have so many outfielders. But one guy that's been getting a lot of like rumors is Jarren Duran. I mean, if somehow he is on the trade block, the Pirates should be absolutely be all in on him. He is young. People forget he was one of the most valuable players in baseball last year. Maybe he hasn't been quite the hitter he was last year, but he can still be a very good all-around outfielder. Gives you some speed. He gives you some athleticism there. I think that
he'd be the best player on our team automatically.
Easily, and
as he is right now.
Yeah, and I think he would definitely add a spark in the future. Another team that's interested in players, I guess we can go to Ke'Bryan Hayes, is the Tigers. And I know I mentioned it on this podcast before, but I think Kerry Carpenter could be available depending on the circumstance. I think the Tigers have a lot of outfielders. It seems like they like Parker Meadows a lot, even though he has struggled offensively this year. But what's his name? Wenzel Perez, right? It's so weird. Like his first name's kind of hard to pronounce, but he's been doing pretty well. They still have Riley Green, who's gonna be their outfielder for hopefully the next 10 years. I hope they can find a way to bring him in.
Javi Baez.
Yeah, Javi Baez too, even though he has been playing shortstop because Sweeney has struggled. But yeah, I think Kerry Carpenter is more available than you think.
Javi Baez, welcome to Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And
my God.
I think that if you trade Hayes and maybe you add one of your top or half prospects, I think that Kerry Carpenter could be available. He doesn't walk very much. He has a very good bat. Like he can hit the ball well. He doesn't have the plate discipline in terms of walks. And while he does kind of have positional flexibility, he's more of a DH in my opinion. I think that the Tigers could move him for defensive help, especially at third base. I feel like Zach McKinstry is more of a utility guy, a guy that can play all around and hit pretty well. I don't think he is a long-term third base answer. And if they can figure out Hayes offensively, I think that could be a good fit. Another team, the Yankees, are interested in Pirates. Like you mentioned, Volpe. I would be curious to see if he's available. I don't think he is, but who knows? Like if the Yankees feel they can upgrade at shortstop, that could be an interesting possibility if the Pirates trade Hayes. But obviously Spencer Jones is going to be talks of the deadline. I think Cam Schlitter, big time as well. They're starting pitcher. He's 6'6", over 220 pounds. I would love the Pirates to grab him and Spencer Jones because I know we want to add bats at the deadline, but assuming Heaney's gone, Keller's gone, Falter's probably going to be gone in the offseason if I had to guess, because just of these young guys coming up, you still need to add at least to some degree your pitching staff, and I think that Schlitter could be someone that you put in your rotation whenever Bubba Chandler's up there, potentially Hunter Barco, stuff like that. So and I think Matt Shaw could be available for the Cubs as well in a trade. I don't know if the Pirates will be able to get him with the guys. They may be hesitant because he's been so good in the minors and he rose fast in their system because he was good in college as well. So that's kind of just a brief outlook, in my opinion, on what could happen to the bigger names. I don't think O'Neal Cruz will get traded, in my opinion. I just don't think so. I obviously IKF Heaney, Keller. I would be interested to see if they do kind of like a Jack Sawinski trade where it was almost like Rodolfo Castro 2 years ago, where it was a change of scenery type move with him and Falter. I know Sawinski may not have much value, but teams may say, hey, he had over 20 homers. We have a pitcher that struggled or something like to that regard. I don't know. I think that would be interesting. So
I can't wait to see cash considerations. Welcome to
yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still something to keep in mind. So
now, Jake, do you think 1, 2, or none of Bednar and Santana gets moved?
That I was hesitant to say because I just don't know. I assume only one. They very well could be both. I just don't think it would be the right move just because they're both controllable for next year, and relief pitchers on the market of that caliber are much more expensive than what their arbitration is going to be. So you're going to be kind of hesitant towards that. I think they're Santana's more likely to be traded because Bednar. I mean, the Pirates invested $6 million in him going into this year while he struggled last year. Obviously, he's more than exceeded expectations, but I think they have more of a loyalty towards him than they would with the Santana. I think Santana is more likely to get traded. He's been the better pitcher the entire year. He's been the best relief pitcher on the Pirates since they acquired him. He's been fantastic. So I think he's more likely to get moved than Bednar.
I disagree, actually, because from a value standpoint, I think Bednar is going to be more valuable because he has that closing experience. He has the resume of being a two-time All-Star, and he's going to be more expensive in arbitration. So I think.
But are the Pirates going to be loyal to him, though?
Loyalty. Are the Pirates really interested in loyalty? If they were interested in loyalty,
they brought him back for $6 million going into this year.
Would have been a Pirate his whole career if that was their. Now that we all agree that trade was good back for Brian Reynolds, right? But it's debatable. I don't really care which one they trade as long as they don't trade both. You got to have somebody to center your bullpen around for 2026. There's this idea that they're going to be packaged together. And I don't see the necessity for that. You could package one of them with, a Key Brian Hayes or Caleb Ferguson to get your value, but you don't have to trade both. You don't have to trade both of them. I know the Phillies, I think, want both of them, but because the Phillies are so desperate for bullpen, I think you could really work them, even for one of those guys. You could really work them if you
maybe
have a
compromise with
offers.
the Caleb Ferguson in that deal instead of the second big-time reliever.
Let's see here. The more and more I get closer to this deadline, I said this last night to Nate, the less and less I want to see people traded. I just don't want trades. I don't want any. I get excited for, what are the Pirates going to do? But then more and more I think about who our general manager is. And the idea of trading Mitch Keller, it makes sense. But look, you can't just assume that Bubba Chandler and Braxton Ash, all these guys are going to come up and be great. We think that's going to happen, but do we know that? Mitch Keller has turned into one of the most reliable starters in Major League Baseball in terms of innings and just overall, solid production as one of the better number 3 starters in all of baseball. And I think that's so valuable, especially on what is a good contract for Mitch. I think it's a very friendly contract. The Pirates, they see 15, 20 million a year, and it's they want to panic. And I just think regarding Mitch Keller, you have to trade him. It has to make your team better. Now going into 2026. It has to make your team better if you're going to do that. And if you don't get the right price for him, I would be very, very stiff when it comes to trading Mitch Keller. If I'm Ben Sherrington, I'm, what's the word? I'm laying the hammer. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's been a long day. But, when I look at the 4 teams that are reportedly interested in him, Blue Jays, Yankees, Mets, Cubs, as I got to charge my computer here. Yankees, Mets, Cubs all have guys in their system or possibly on their team that I could see, now that I could see fitting in with the Pirates, younger guys who I think could really bring value immediately. But I look at the Blue Jays, I look at their farm system and their team, I'm I don't see who the heck we're gonna bring in from them that's gonna make us better. I don't see, and I'm afraid we've talked about this. Sherrington and the Blue Jays always have that connection. I'm afraid that we're gonna end up sending him to the Blue Jays, and the return is not going to be good enough. Hayes, I feel really could go to the Yankees just because his dad was a pinstripes guy, and I think Brian Cashman, I think he likes Key Brian Hayes more than we think. And we love Brian. And I think send him and a reliever or him in an IKF in a package, I think Brian Cashman would be very much. I mean, he's interested in all of our guys. I mean, he told us in January that, great friend of the show. He told us in January that he'd be coming after the players in our organization, and clearly that's the case. As far as O'Neal Cruz goes, I think there's some fans that are like, that is outrageous. That is outrageous. You would never even consider it. Look, if you get the offer that makes you better, that really, it'd have to be a big, ginormous offer. Like, I'm not saying we should trade. I'm just saying, if the offer is big enough, like, I feel like there could be an offer that out there that is big enough from the Yankees or the Phillies. That's the two reported teams interested, that I would be willing to trade O'Neal Cruz for, and I highly doubt that it happens.
Peyton,
but
can
look,
I interrupt you real
O'Neal
quick?
Cruz, yes, please.
Just a hypothetical. Say the Yankees offer Anthony Volpe, Spencer Jones, and Cam Schlitter for O'Neal Cruz. Would you do that?
Absolutely.
You would?
I think I would. I don't know enough about this Cam Schlitter guy, but I love Spencer Jones. I think I talked about this yesterday. I think he would be a transformation. I think he has a chance to be a transformational player. Like, I really do as a hitter. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Judge. Like, literally, like, look at them both. Look at their stance and their swings. Like, it's very similar. I know that he strikes out a lot, but I think the power. He's one of those guys. The power won't matter. Like, yes, I would do that. And I think, look, I was getting to my point because we know what O'Neal Cruz is. He's an average player with a lot of great tools. Like, he can steal a lot of bases. He can, hit the ball 900 million feet and hit the ball 500 miles an hour. I know I'm being a goofball, but, like, overall, his numbers, his WAR, right? You look at WAR, like, defensively, and his inconsistent lack of effort and having solid fundamentals. I just don't think he's going to end up being this great cornerstone player. I really don't. But you don't trade him, especially like that offer you just gave. My thing is, are the Pirates going to get a big offer for O'Neal Cruz? Like,
right.
Why would you trade
you
for
have
a
to
guy
trade
who's
for
hitting
more of the
210
potential
right now?
Right. You have to trade for more of the potential.
But that's a big risk if you're the Yankees and the Phillies. Like you got to see that there's issues here with O'Neal Cruz. So for that's another reason why I don't think it would happen. But do I think it's completely in outer space? No. I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say regarding the trade deadline. I just, I get more and more intense as we get closer here with Ben Sherrington as the GM. So,
well,
I don't know. I might have
about
missed
it
out on
this
some
way.
things, but
Say you make a big time trade for Cruz. Say somehow the trade offer I just randomly thought in my head ends up being a thing, and you find a way to steal Duran from the Red Sox. Now you have Volpe at short, who you could potentially develop. Maybe a change of scenery would be great. You have Spencer Jones, who could literally be your DH. Is he an outfielder or is he a first baseman? I don't remember.
He's
a
outfielder,
corner
right?
outfielder, right?
He could play right field, and then you have Duran in center, who I think would play a better center field than Cruz, obviously. So, I don't know. Just fun scenarios. None of what I just said is going to happen. But just
imagine.
I
like,
love
that would
Jaron
be-
Duran.
I do too. I hope if he is on the trade block, the Pirates
Why
would
would you
be all
trade
over.
him though? Like, I don't even the Red Sox are becoming such a dysfunctional. I don't get
Yeah.
what they're doing. Like, they think
They
all
just-
these young guys that they have are going to come up and be great, like this
Yeah.
Roman Anthony. Like,
Yeah.
I don't completely buy into him. Jaron Duran was an 8. Why would you trade him? Trade Abreu or one of your
Abreu's really good,
younger
too.
guys.
Abreu actually has been a better hitter than Duran
But-
this year, but Duran has
yeah,
the
but
better
Duran,
ceiling.
I think, with his
And he's the better
speed, I
player.
just don't.
Yeah.
Your offense is your strength. Like, you can't. I don't know. I don't like what
There's
they're
only
doing
so
a
many
lot of the
positions
time,
to
but
play. I mean, you got
But
Rafael
Jaron
who's having a
Duran,
great
though.
season. I was
And
saying
then
Yoshida
he's
just
locked up
came back.
long term too, Rafaela. Rightfully so.
Right.
He's been very good.
And Roman Anthony was the #1 prospect in baseball. I know you don't like
Yeah, I
him,
don't-
but
Nah.
the Red Sox are very, very high on him. So there's just at some point like they have a need. It's just like the Pirates have a need for any hitters. They have a need for some starters, right? With Buehler struggling so much, their bullpen's actually been pretty good this year with Chapman. Chapman's been excellent, but
And yet we don't hear them as a team. We don't hear them as a team interested in Mitch Keller, which is shocking to me. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, it is kind of puzzling, but yeah, I largely agree with what you guys said. I'm not going to add too much. I think Mitch Keller, I said this yesterday with talking to Peyton, Charrington has to be, like, he has all the leverage at this trade
Tight
deadline.
fist. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Tight fist when it comes to Mitch Keller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, you have to be with some of these guys, like with the Mitch Keller and obviously with the O'Neill Cruz, you have to be completely, more so with Cruz obviously, but you have to be completely floored to want to make a move of that kind. But with Mitch Keller, like he's the number 2 starter for the Pirates right now, obviously. And I know there's some things. Jared Jones has been out and Chandler's still in AAA and all that, and Ashcraft's in the bullpen, but this has been one of his better years. Now he's been very consistent as to who he is. He's a slightly above average pitcher, but he's going to give you quality start after quality start every game. He's not going to, there's the rare occasion that he has a blow-up game, but for the most part, he's not going to shut you out every game, but he's going to go 6 innings and give up 2 runs on 6 hits. You know, that's like the line for Mitch Keller. He's Mr. Consistent. He would be an incredibly valuable ad for anybody. So I think especially if the Cubs are interested, like you guys are saying, and we've talked about this, in division trading, you have to ask for maybe even more. And even to the point where I wouldn't trade Mitch Keller in division regardless of what the Cubs are offering, unless they're offering Pete Crow Armstrong.
If he was a rental, I'd be fine with that. If Keller was a rental, but he's not, you're going to have to face him, and you're going to have to compete against him in the division for 3 more years.
The value if you're negotiating with teams for Mitch Keller, you're going to say, Cubs, you got to give us more than these other teams because you're in the division. That's just the truth.
I think that's where Charrington's at. That's basically what he said. He said a tie is going to go to the team that's not the Cubs. Basically, is what he said. So,
or the Brewers. I mean, but the Brewers might not do anything. I was talking about this with Faye yesterday. Like the Brewers,
they made
they got everything.
They're not going to do anything crazy. I don't think.
Maybe they won't do anything with the Pirates, probably. But
if you're the Brewers, though, I want to. If you're the Brewers, this is maybe your best chance to win a World Series. Like, you don't want the Cubs just doing all this stuff and you do nothing. Like, I think a Josh Naylor, let's be like Andrew Vaughn. That's cool and all, but okay, this has been a very, very hot stretch for them. Like, over a longer period of time, I think they're going to need more to really, really win that division. And I think if they got to look into a Josh Naylor. He feels like a Milwaukee Brewer to me, doesn't he?
He's been fantastic too. Like he was the guy I want the Pirates to get because he drove in runs a lot last year, and now he's back to being a 300 hitter. Or not a 300 hitter, but hovering around.
Right,
that.
He's been 300 like the whole year. He dipped a little bit recently, but exactly. Then that would be something, wouldn't it? I mean. Obviously, they have Rhys Hoskins at first, but they could platoon almost, or one of them could DH. Well, Yelich DHs every game now, but they'd figure it out if they did something like that. But also with the Brewers, too, this is why you're hesitant usually every year in the playoffs with them to pick them because their underlying offensive statistics, I don't know if you guys seen this, they're like, bottom 10 in the league and like everything, but they just do the little things like so well that they're in this, and their pitching's been, tremendous. Now they have so much pitching now.
Nate.
They actually know to win on the margins. Matt Arnold knows how to win on the margins. Who knew? But anyway,
I'm glad you brought them up because it's crazy how one decision could change everything. Like the Pirates could have had Matt Arnold, and I'm not saying that the Pirates would be where the Brewers are because we have a dysfunctional franchise owner, we just very dysfunctional, but imagine if they went with Matt Arnold. I think things would be, I think we'd have something with Skeens right now, and right now we have absolutely nothing, so.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this deadline. I think this is going to be a fun one for the Pirates. I think a lot of things will happen. So
It'll certainly it's looking like it's going to be entertaining for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yep.
It'll be interesting. It'll be compelling. I don't know if it's gonna be fun, depending on what we get in return on some of these trades, or if some of these guys be going. But hopefully, I hope it's very fun.
Brian Reynolds better not be traded, bro.
I would be shocked if he's traded. I know teams are interested, but I don't think they're gonna do that.
He has like 6 trade clauses too.
Yeah,
so, like,
and they're all
like
the best
teams.
teams. Yeah, they're all the best teams in baseball right now.
Including the Padres are one of them too, I think, and they have like the most glaring need for him, or an outfielder of his caliber. So that's funny, but no, I don't think
Jarren Duran's a possibility.
Wow, dude, AJ Preller, you don't put anything past AJ Preller.
No, not at all. Like that's a guy he'd be.
They have one prospect, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and then next year they'll have a random guy jump top 5.
Here's the San Diego Padres move. Ready? Because there's been rumors that they want to get rid of Dylan Cease because he's a free agent. Trade Dylan Cease to the Red Sox for Jarren Duran.
Wow.
Wait, but isn't Cease?
But if you're the Red Sox, you got to extend Cease. Then you got to like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like what they do with Crochet.
Yeah.
You'd probably, if you're the Red Sox, it would have to be Cease and then like a bullpen, one of their bullpen arms or something. You'd figure like it couldn't just be Cease unless he for sure is going to extend with them. Yeah. And you don't know that during the trade, but that is interesting.
That's funny. Like they deplete their farm system, and then the next year they have a guy top 5 in the MLB in prospects. And it's like, they just randomly pump out these guys.
I think right now all they have is that catcher, right? And then there's like nobody else. I think.
But don't worry, they'll find a guy that just the rest of the year hits 400, and then he's automatically top 5.
He must be a master negotiator, like manipulating these GMs that these mid prospects are better than they are. But I mean, when he's been trading in the past, it's been elite prospects actually. Yeah. This year it's just like he just depleted the farm system so much. But so Mitch, I think if he would, I was just saying the Red Sox because they would be just the perfect fit in terms of Pirates. What the Pirates would get back in return. It is sad. It's honestly sad that they haven't been in the conversation because I want Jarren Duran there. I want
Wilyer Abreu too. Like I feel like the Pirates
I would take.
Yeah, like I feel like the Pirates would have to give the Red Sox something more for Duran, but I feel like the Pirates could trade Keller and maybe a prospect the Red Sox like for Wilyer Abreu and a prospect the Pirates like. I feel like that's more of an even between Abreu and Keller than it is for Duran. So.
Yeah, I agree. But that would be just either one of them would be awesome.
Yeah, you have to do that at that point.
But yeah, as for I honestly at this point, if you don't get one of those offers, I hope Keller stays. In the end, I just think if you're Cherington, you have to be floored with an offer to trade somebody like Mitch Keller, who signed an extension with this franchise. Has been one of the few, along with Brian Reynolds, and you could say, I guess, Brian Hayes, to have a commitment to this team. He's a good dude and everything. I want to talk about Brian Hayes. I'm just like confused as to why there's any interest in him, and it's not to like short him or anything. He's the 3rd worst hitter in baseball, qualified hitter, just in terms of OPS,
Defense.
Which is the deciding thing. I know, but like, what are you gonna give up? Like, if you're Cherington, like. What would even somebody give up for him? He has some years of control, but the only thing he brings is defense, and you don't want him. If you're a postseason team, you don't want him coming up to bat in the playoffs. He doesn't walk. He's been striking out more this year, and he doesn't hit for extra bases.
Just keep Kerry Carpenter in mind if the Tigers negotiate with Hayes. In my opinion,
well, I mean, I would love Kerry Carpenter.
Really?
I think it would cost more.
Get rid of him?
What was that?
You think they get rid of Kerry Carpenter?
I think they could to get more positional flexibility elsewhere. I mean, their third base defense hasn't been great. You grabbing a guy like Hayes, if you can tap into something offensively, it might cost the Pirates more, but I mean, it's more like Kerry Carpenter only offers you his bat and his bat alone, like his hit tool.
I think
Hayes only offers you his defense.
I agree. I think the reason, Nate, there's interest is because it's been clearly stated that they're trying to get his salary off the books because, unlike Mitch Keller, and we're paying Keller more, he is just not worth it because you're paying him to be a cornerstone franchise piece in the lineup, not just defensively in the lineup, and he can't do that. And so he's the one guy I'm okay with trading and just saying I don't care what the return is. We need to because if you trade a Mitch Keller or whatever Bednar, right, some package deal, the hope is you'd find that third baseman to try out for the team this year and be the future potentially. And so that's why I don't like when people are saying, like, well, who are you going to replace it with? Well, yeah, that's the general manager's job to find a bat that can bring power at the third base position.
Yeah, it's just back to his contract is what? It's $9 million. It's not even that much. Like, he's worth it, but like on a team like the Pirates, like his defense alone would be worth it. But on a team like the Pirates, that
it's not.
They can't even have that contract. It really is, and it's unfortunate. But I just feel like if we trade him, it'll be just an underwhelming return. And again, I don't know what his value is. It's hard to kind of gauge. But if we were to get Kerry Carpenter, we'd have to add a prospect in there.
I agree.
I mean, obviously, but
oh my god, I would be so excited if we got.
That would be the ultimate hang the banner.
He's a guy that he would fit well with Matt Haig because he hits the ball. I know he doesn't draw walks at all at a high rate, but I'm kind of sick and tired of grabbing guys who walk at high rate. We need someone that can move runners over. Exactly.
He's aggressive.
We need guys that can hit the ball, aggressive, that are willing to move guys over. So he's sort of like a Nick Gonzalez in a way. Because Nick Gonzalez is up there.
Much more power, though.
Yeah.
I think he has much more power.
Oh, yeah, he does have much more power than Gonzalez.
Oh, Gonzalez, he's actually... Yeah, Gonzo, he's been walking more recently. Now, I know the past couple of games he was like 0 for 10, but he was hitting the ball hard. But, I'd absolutely love it. If we got Kerry Carpenter and like Jarren Duran or something at the trade deadline.
Those are my two like top targets. Like Abreu obviously up there too, but like
I just don't want to get my hopes up. I just don't want to get my hopes up because
I always do this.
It would be hard for any general manager.
I remember thinking like in 2019 because the Pirates were hovering around the division at the All-Star break. I was like, Marcus Stroman would be a great fit for the Pirates, and then that didn't happen obviously because they didn't do well after the All-Star break. But
I'm actually incorrect. Nick Gonzalez has actually been slumping lately.
But he's been
like
hard. It's not like slumping where he's just completely not seeing the ball well. He hit the ball at the wall that the outfielder made.
He's been
very unlucky.
He had a bunch of line drives that were caught.
Yeah. So I'm just to summarize, and I agree. I think you got to keep one of Bednar or Santana. I go back to this every trade deadline. I think Bednar is more valuable from a other team standpoint for one reason. Not only like closer thing, Santana we saw close and he could do it. It's about the strikeouts. That is what teams prioritize at the trade deadline and in October baseball. Somebody who can strike people out, and Santana can strike people out, but Bednar strikes out more than one per inning, and he just has much more of a strikeout mix. Obviously, you got the fastball up and the curveball and the split. They really are kind of strikeout pitches. Can be when he's on, like we've seen him. He's striking out a ton of batters since he came back from AAA. So I do think if you can get a lot for Bednar, but yeah, you're not going to trade if you're trading both in a package. Like to the Phillies, it would have to be a tremendous haul, and they don't have anybody that they would trade us that would warrant that at all. I don't see anybody. I don't even Andrew Painter, like there's
Andrew
not there's
Painter
multiple.
is amazing. He is so injury prone, and he's so
he's
skinny.
always hurt.
He's like the lefty Jared Jones.
Yeah, so I mean, it have to be him and somebody else too, because these are two very high-end relievers.
Painter's not a lefty. Sorry, I was thinking of someone else, but I don't think he's a lefty.
What'd you say, Jake?
I said I don't think Painter's a lefty. I think I was thinking of someone else.
Yeah, I think he's a righty, but we understood what you were saying. But and then I was saying IKF, maybe the Yankees are a fit again, familiar there and everything. Tommy Pham, maybe the Padres, if they swing and miss, they could want to target Tommy Pham as kind of, I mean, He's been a
That
very
makes sense.
average hitter now.
Well, the Padres
And he's
have
been
done that
great
with fire
defensively.
players the last 2 years. Martin Perez last year, and then
Rich Hill,
Rich Hill, and
G-Man
G-Man
Choi.
Oh, you know what? I think it's gonna be Martin Perez, or no, right, Rich Hill, Martin Perez, and then this year it's gonna be Andrew Heaney. Watch,
to the
and they're all
Andrew
gonna go
Heaney
to
and
all
Tommy
three
Pham to the
lefties.
That would be
Padres.
kind of funny because like all those starting pitcher Reynolds, and then they go to the Padres. Maybe it is a Tommy Pham, Andrew Heaney package, kind of like a G-Man
Yeah.
Choi right
Yeah.
there. But
Yeah,
look
that could
more
work.
better. So
Yeah, I
And-
miss
and,
G-Man
for-
Choi.
yeah, he was taller.
As far as Andrew Heaney's concerned, you would have wished the deadline would have been sooner because his value has really decreased over the last
Cash
several weeks.
considerations.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, he's a guy maybe the Cubs go after if they want a rental, but like probably not gonna happen.
Yeah, but I got nothing else to add. It will be certainly a very interesting deadline for the Pirates for sure. They should be very active. They should be the most active team in terms of sellers, because you look at the Rockies. Obviously they're terrible. When you're terrible, you don't have as many good players to deal, right? So they got like Jake Bird and maybe a McMahon this year. They got to trade McMahon this year.
Mickey
gotta
Moniak,
pick a direction.
or maybe they
Selling.
go around. I don't know.
Maybe
We're
Moniak, I
selling,
guess.
baby.
But yeah, woo! But
Yeah.
we're fired up about selling. We do it every year except last year. I think we just have to sell every year because I mean last year we bought and we got worse.
When we buy, we like barely buy. Like we barely hesitate to do
Yeah.
anything. Like
Right.
it's like
But,
To be fair, last year wasn't a trade deadline where there were these incredible pieces being moved, like Brent
And
Rooker and Mason Miller stayed.
Right.
you
And
know.
we weren't gonna go all in either way on anything, just like where we were at. But some of these like the Nationals, they got a couple guys, but I mean the Orioles, they're not gonna go full sell on anybody. It's gonna be the Pirates have the most to offer anybody. It's just what it is. So it'll be very interesting to see what goes on. But you guys have any other things to add? We're long episode here. We talked about a lot of stuff. So that'll do it for this NFL way too early. ESPN always does like after the Super Bowl, way too early NFL power rankings or whatever. But it's not even way too early. It's just early predictions, preseason prediction as to what we see. And again, we might change them up a little bit. Who knows? And some trade deadline talk with the Pirates. I'm excited one way or another just to see what goes on, not only with the Pirates, but like what the Yankees do at their third base. Where does Suarez go? Where does
Yeah,
Seth
he's the
Lugo
big
go if he gets
prize.
traded? Where does some of these pitchers, does Sandy Alcantara get traded? I don't think the Marlins should do it yet,
I agree.
but there are a lot of teams that still are asking. He had a great start his last time. I think it was yesterday, 7 scoreless innings against the Padres. So maybe he's on the up. If he gets one more start and he does really well, maybe team wants to overpay. But it'll be very interesting. But thank you again, Yinzas, for tuning in. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to our content as always, and a reminder, next Thursday, 4 p.m. sharp Eastern Standard Time, we will be having our trade deadline coverage. I will be here. I'm going to try to recruit some people, maybe, perchance, to join while these gentlemen are enjoying their stays in foreign locations, in anonymous foreign locations that we will not disclose.
Foreign. No, we're not
I'm just
gonna
saying,
leave
like,
the
foreign
country.
of the Berg.
Yeah.
Foreign of the Western Pennsylvania. I shouldn't have said foreign. I was gonna say like remote, not disclosed, undisclosed locations. But it'll be a lot of fun, and can't wait for it. But make sure you follow our Instagram, our TikTok, our X. We're doing great on TikTok. Love to see that, and yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in.
Bye.